Really for a year I've been exploring ways in which we can better measure the kind of climates down in the train station. Last summer I was just kind of shocked about how hot it was getting, and I was walking around with like a little digital thermometer. It's something that everyone experiences here, and it's kind of chalked up as, oh, if you live in New York you just put up with it, and you should have seen what it was like in the 80s, et cetera, et cetera. I've been here for a year and a half. I'm a transplant, like I don't have all that context. But on the other side of it, it's actually a public health issue, and there can be solutions, and it is an issue worth pursuing further. Hey, what's up? My name's Klein, out here in Union Square in Manhattan, and I've been working on a project under the name New York Lab, exploring the heat and humidity and just in general the climates in our underground subway systems. I was just shocked at like how miserable existence felt, especially in the summer, and when you go up it's like completely normal. I moved to New York about a year and a half ago, but I'm trying to approach this as a public health issue and something that is worth exploring more and trying to find more adaptable solutions. I got in contact with a professor from Pratt who studies like environmental adaptable solutions, and she recommended this company called Kestrel. So I have these small Kestrel drop D2 sensors. I bought a handful of them, attached some magnets on the back, and I've been placing them in stations in a way in which that I hope can resemble how commuters feel going through the stations in the summer. Yeah. So I can show you here, like, this is just one that I carry around to do like spot readings. But I have like hot glued magnets on the back, really. You know, they can just... So I try to make this as discreet as possible, really. This is the first data set of its kind. Before, people have collected, spot readings, like at this specific time it was this temperature, etc. Oftentimes that doesn't take into account heat index, which is the feels like temperature, which I think is what is missing from the conversation. It's not just about the temperature, it's the mixture of all this stuff, your ability to sweat, how the humidity feels, etc. Traveling across boroughs, there's not just like a single point in time that someone's experiencing this heat. They're outside in the summer to get to the train, they're underground in the heat, and then they're like, maybe their job is working outside too. How can we better understand how this fits into the grand scheme of things, and heat exhaustion and other heat-related illnesses? I make like TikTok and Instagram videos, and there's a lot of comments on these videos that are like, let's just put AC in the stations, and why don't we have AC? Okay, first of all, it's not an enclosed system, and it would be incredibly expensive energy-wise. It's just not realistic, and there's no money to do it. Look, I'm not a scientist. I studied computer science, and I'm interested in the arts, but I'm just trying to come up from like an observation standpoint, collect the data, and then collaborate with other people who are more familiar with like the scientific aspects. Sure, it's interesting. Like as I've been working on this project, I've been kind of like talking to more scientists and people involved in the environment, and explaining different types of like ways to measure, temperature. So for example, when you're looking at your weather app on your iPhone or whatever, and it says it's 90 degrees, that means it's 90 degrees if you're standing in shade. It's a completely different sensation when you're standing in the sun too. So there's these different ways to measure, and right now we just walked into the sun and it's like, I feel like I'm melting. And when you go down into the station, I think a big thing is that these stations, for example, Union Square, they were built in the early 1900s. These are literally 100-year-old stations. And the ventilation sucks, so the air quality feels bad, much worse than outside. It's very humid, and it feels equally as hot. There's new stations like Hudson Yards that got built in 2015. That station is it feels nice. There's a lot of ventilation, it feels very modern. It doesn't seem possible to actually retrofit these older stations that are very popular. Like we're at Union Square in 2023, it was the 4th busiest station in the whole system. So like, how can we actually make these ones that have way high traffic feel also pleasant? I don't know. Yeah, so I have sensors installed at like 9 different stations. The sensors are very expensive, and I'm kind of bootstrapping this myself. I would love to, get more grant money or whatever and have a more kind of expansive network of sensors, but it's a work in progress. Exploring heat within the train stations, of course, was like what gave rise to New York Lab. I'm just really interested in like public spaces and things that everyone has to use. What makes me laugh is like how polarizing an issue this seems to be. A lot of the comments are just like, transplant, like go back to wherever. Obviously there's like these very embedded structures in New York that is just like, you don't ask about it, you put up with it. Some people, like, there's a large group of people that just don't seem receptive. The noise, I don't know. No, I think something that like, I think really interests me is like, how there's multiple issues entrenched in each other. For example, I'm focusing on train station heat, but train delays, or like these new systems that I'm putting in the turnstiles too, like fare evasion. it's all related. Like no one wants to pay the fare because we're not satisfied with the services that it's giving us. It's hot as fuck, there's flooding going on, and they're putting like spikes on the turnstiles and it doesn't work, and it's like, why are we putting money towards that? And like private security guards blocking the emergency doors, rather than putting that money towards improving the station, like giving us what we actually want. But Union Square has been like a breeding ground for this project, because there's the L, there's the 456, there's the NQRW, like it just feels like a very central meeting point, personally, because I transfer here, and then also just like, it's such a busy station, it's so hot. It's interesting that MTA hasn't done it yet, right? Like, there's some Gothamist Instagram posts around, they had all the data for like complaints on train cars.
Yeah.
It's like they have that data, but they don't have these other data sets, which are also like in a negative light maybe, so I don't know. People in some of these videos tell me that like, yes, the braking adds a lot of heat, so when they pull into the stations and brake, that contributes a lot of heat, and also the AC from the train cars, when they pull in the station, all the hot air from the AC expels onto the platform. So I think those are like the two main reasons. So I have this like phone app that basically connects to my devices, the sensors. It's basically 100 degrees, like just temperature-wise. The humidity is 43%. So that means it feels like 112 degrees Fahrenheit down here. Temp outside, it's telling me like 80, which, probably in the sun it's a bit hotter. But yeah, I mean, the heat differential is wild. Yeah, I mean, it's fine if the trains come on time, but when it starts being delayed, I think the people I most want to focus on the most are the elderly, the disabled, and like pregnant women. Because you look down in these stations, there's like not many benches. Like you have to stand, and for the more vulnerable populations, if there's a delay or whatever, like I think it has serious health ramifications. And that's kind of like one of the main points, right?